due to the virtual nature of the meeting, we're going to ask Liz to call the roll to determine we have a quorum. So, Liz?
Atlas Ingebretson. Barber.
Here.
Chambliss.
Here.
Cummings.
Here.
Ferguson.
Here.
Fredson.
Here.
Gonzalez.
Here.
Johnson. Johnson. Lee.
Here.
Lilligren.
Here.
Lindstrom. Lindstrom. I think your mic is off, Councilmember Lindstrom.
Is that for me?
No, that was Councilmember Lindstrom. That's okay. Councilmember Sterner. Vento.
Here.
Wolf.
Here.
Hello.
Zurin.
Present.
Chair Zelli.
I'm here. I think we have a quorum. I don't know that mistaken. So we're on to approval of the agenda. And if there are no objections to the amended agenda, we will consider it approved. And then on to the minutes. This is the approval of the minutes from October 28th, 2020. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
Vento moves approval.
Second by Lee.
Thank you, Councilmember Vento and Lee. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, Liz, please call the roll.
Atlas Ingebretson. Barber.
Aye.
Chambliss.
Aye.
Cummings.
Aye.
Ferguson.
Aye.
Fredson.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Johnson. Lee.
Aye.
Lilligren.
Aye.
Lindstrom.
Aye.
Sterner. Bento.
Aye.
Wolf.
Aye.
Zurin.
Aye.
Chair Zelli.
Aye. The minutes are approved. On to the consent agenda. Can I have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda?
So moved, Lindstrom.
Thank you, Peter. Second?
Vento seconds.
Thank you, Susan. Any discussion? All right, Liz?
Barber.
Aye.
Chambliss.
Aye.
Cummings.
Aye.
Ferguson.
Aye.
Fredson.
Aye.
Gonzalez.
Aye.
Johnson. Lee.
Aye.
Lilligren. Lilligren. Lindstrom.
Aye.
Sterner.
Aye.
Bento.
Aye.
Wolf. Wolf?
Aye.
Thank you. Zurin?
Aye.
Chair Zeli?
Aye. That motion carries. And Councilmember Lilligren voted yes. He's having some audio issues. Oh,
Chair,
yes.
sorry, this is Councilmember Atlas Ingebretson. I'm having issues logging in, so I had to call in on the phone. I vote aye. I just wanted to let you know that I was here. I'm going to try and get back in on the regular line, but I've not done this dial in before, so please bear with me.
Well, thank you, Councilmember. And we'll know that this phone number is you and record you as a yes on this, on the consent, approval of the consent agenda. And let us know if we see you, we'll know you've gotten logged in the other way. So we're moving on to the reports from the standing committees. And first is a report from the community development. And Councilmember Lilligren is back just in time. Councilmember Lilligren, can you hear me? Uh-oh. Can anybody hear me?
Yes.
Oh, all right. Robert, can you, are you hearing me? All right, I think we're not, we're gonna just maybe, I know we have an environmental committee has had reports on the consent agenda. Why don't we go to the management committee and we'll cycle back and see if we can connect with Robert. Councilmember Ferguson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So we have two business items on the agenda. Our first business item is business item 2020-280, Central Corridor Light Rail Expansion Cash Flow Financing Plan. So the Southwest Corridor Light Rail Transit Project expenses are being funded by both local partners and the FTA grant. The local partners have already contributed a significant portion of their obligations, and therefore it is expected that future project expenses will be funded by the FTA. Because the grant payments will be received on a reimbursement basis annually over the next 10 years, interim cash flow financing is needed. The proposed cash flow financing plan will provide the interim cash flow needed to pay for project expenses until the grant reimbursement payments are received. The plan includes council issuance of general obligation grant anticipation notes and authority for borrowing internal funds. Current cash flow projections anticipate annual issuance of the GANs, the general, grant anticipatory notes, over a period of 2020 to 2023, with a total issuance being approximately $760 million. This debt will be paid down annually as the grant payments are received, and each GAN issuance will come to the council for separate approval. Secondly, even with GAN issuance, current projections show that the project cash flow deficit of approximately $57 million in 2024. Therefore, the plan includes authority for internal borrowing up to a maximum of $60 million to cover the potential deficit. The precise amount and duration of the internal borrowing will be determined by cash flows, and any internal borrowing interest expense will be paid with available arbitrage reserve dollars. In accordance with Council Policy FM 2-2 Financial and Asset Management, internal loans longer than 3 months or for more than $10 million must be approved by the council. The plan results will be reported quarterly to the Transportation and the Management Committees. The Thrive lends outcomes of stewardship by using public finance resources effectively and efficiently across the project. and accountability by ensuring policies and procedures are effective in providing quarterly updates. The item has been reviewed and approved by the Management Committee. Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council authorize the regional administrator to execute a cash flow financing plan, for the Southwest Corridor Light Rail Transit Project during the years of 2020 to 2030. Such plan being comprised of the following: issuance of general obligation revenue grant anticipation notes, the GOGANs, at various dates and in various amounts to provide cash to cover expenses of the Southwest LRT project pending receipt of federal grant payments, and separately present each GAN issuance resolution to the council for approval. Without limit to frequency, borrow from the council internal investment pool in a maximum amount of up to $60 million at any point in time. Utilize Metro Transit's available bond arbitrage reserve dollars to fund interest expense on internal borrowings when such expense is the net of the cumulative project interest on the borrowings less the cumulative project interest revenue not associated with the GO GAN. And a report on the plan's results will be provided quarterly to the Management Committee and the Transportation. That is the motion, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Is there a second to the motion?
Second by Lee.
Thank you, Councilmember Lee. Any questions or discussion?
Mr. Chair, I'll just make a couple of quick comments. I think it's realize that this is, to be clear, this is a general obligation of the council. So by this action, we are in essence committing the council to $760 million of debt, which we believe will be paid for by money coming in from the federal government. But if something should happen to those payments from the federal government, we would still be required to repay this $760 million of debt. So just so that everybody is clear, it's a significant liability that we are approving in this business item. And just so that everybody is clear, and if anybody has any questions, because there's a lot of different terms and complicated thought process in the original description. So if people have questions, now would be the time.
Mr. Chair, let me just add just a little bit to that. Today you are approving the plan that includes that financing amount, but we're only financing the first issuance of that plan, and so. Right, but Councilmember Ferguson is correct. This is a revenue bond or note, but it also is backed by our full faith and credit of our general purpose levy.
And the repayment is coming from the full funding agreement of the Federal Transit Administration. So, but this first tranche has been appropriated, as I understand. But as you think about the plan going forward, these tranches will also be subject to congressional appropriation, but there's the full faith of credit of the U.S. government in that full funding agreement. So we have general confidence, but it's good to point out that we are creating a financing plan based upon a grant expectation. Any other questions, thoughts, anything to add?
Mr. Chair, I'm just going to correct you just a little bit on that. The $125 million that we're issuing, sorry, the $125 million that we'll be asking you for in the next business item has not been appropriated. We expect it to be, our limitation on issuing is based on the receipts that we expect to receive in the next year, and it's got a coverage level of 110%. So those funds have not yet been appropriated, and that's what makes it a little bit riskier, and is that the federal government could decide not to do that. Never would I expect them to do that. It would be such a big deal. It would be huge news.
I stand corrected. It is. That's helpful to know, and that's my misunderstanding. I had thought that was funds that were already part of the FTA's budget or plan, but that has not been appropriated. That's
So,
what they expect.
Right, Mr. Chair, it is a part of the grant, but remember we received the grant in $100 million increments, and we need our funding to build this project within the next 3 years. And so we have to bring all of that funding forward with cash flow financing. And so has not yet been appropriated, but is approved in the grant. And so there's safety in the grant. We would file legal charges.
We'll see if they're good for it. Any questions? All right, ready to vote. Liz, call the roll.
Atlas Ingebretson,
Aye.
Barber,
Aye.
Chambliss,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Fredson,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Johnson, Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren,
Aye.
Lindstrom,
Aye.
Sterner,
Aye.
Bento,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Zurin,
Aye.
Chair Zelli.
Aye. All right, that motion carries. And Chris, you have another action on this?
I do. Yeah, this is for the first tranche. So business item 2020-282, the parameters resolution for the general obligation grant participation notes or GANs and the general obligation refunding bonds. The business item proposes the issuance of two types of debt. The first is general obligation grant anticipation notes known as GANs, which provide interim cash flow needed for the Southwest Corridor Transit Project expenses pending receipt of the grant payments from the Federal Transit Administration, which will be pledged to repay this debt. Proposed Resolution 2020-20 authorizes the issuance of, it's not quite right, but authorizes the issuance and sale awarded of approximately $125 million of the GANs within acceptable financial parameters. Per the resolution, this GANs issuance cannot exceed $126 million and cannot exceed 2.25% interest cost. The expected interest cost is 1.25 to 1.5%. This is the first of an expected series of GANs that will be issued for the project over a period of 2020 to 2023. The GANs issue will be structured with annual principal payments over a 3-year term. The second type of debt in this business item is a general obligation refunding bonds. The current low interest rate environment makes it possible for the council to refinance 3 outstanding bond issues originally issued in 2009 and 2010 and realize a projected future interest cost savings of $7.4 million. This savings will be realized over the remaining life of the bonds, a 10-year period of time. This refunding will include $18 million of outstanding transit debt and $38 million of outstanding wastewater debt. The parameter resolutions 2020-21 and 2020-22 authorize issuance, sale, and award of the transit and wastewater refunding bonds within acceptable financial parameters. Per the resolutions, wastewater refunding cannot exceed $39 million and must realize a minimum of 3% cost savings as required by council policy. Expectations are for a 10.6% plus savings are $5 million realized over the remaining life of the bonds. The transit refunding cannot exceed $20 million and must also realize a minimum of 3% interest savings costs. Expectations are for a 10.5% savings or $2.5 million over the life of bonds. All bonds would be sold in November and closed in December with the actual results of the sales. The actual results of the sales are reported to the Management Committee and the Council in December. These financing actions support the Thrive-led outcomes of stewardship and sustainability as they provide low-cost funding for the council's capital projects and infrastructure investments. This item has been reviewed and approved by the Management Committee. Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council adopt the 3 parameters resolutions 2020-20, 2020-21, and 2020-22, authorizing the issuance, sale, and award of general obligation debt within established financial parameters, the incurrence of related issuance expenses, and the execution of necessary documents to secure the financing.
Okay. Is there a second?
Turner seconds.
Thank you, Councilmember Sterner. All right. This is more on the same subject. Any questions, discussions on this? All right. Hearing none. Liz?
Atlas Ingebretson,
Aye.
Barber,
Aye.
Chambliss,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Fredson,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren,
Aye.
Lindstrom,
Aye.
Sterner, Vento,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Zurin,
Aye.
Chair Zelli.
Aye. That motion carries. So now going back to the Community Development Committee, Councilmember Lilligren, are you?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. My apologies to you and our colleagues. I was having some kind of connectivity issues, so thank you for postponing the item. So Community Development Committee brings one item for consideration. It's the 2020 Livable Communities Demonstration Account Award Recommendations. It's business item 2020-298. It's the same week action item. And it's to award $8.5 million in Livable Communities Demonstration Account grant funds to support 7 development projects in 5 cities. Upon completion, Mr. Chair and council members, the projects are expected to result in over 570 new housing units, over 400 of which are affordable, an annual net tax capacity increase of over $840,000, 94 new permanent living wage jobs, and almost $92 million in leveraged private investment. The projects are in a range of cities: the city of St. Paul, city of Minneapolis, St. Louis Park, city of Hopkins, and the city of Brooklyn Park. Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council award the 7 Livable Communities Demonstration Account grants as shown in Table 1, totaling $8,500,000, and authorize the Community Development Director to execute the grant agreements on behalf of the Council.
Great. Is there a second?
Vento seconds.
Thank you, Sue. Any discussion, questions? All right, Liz?
Atlas Ingebretson,
Aye.
Barber,
Aye.
Chambliss,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Fredson,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren,
Aye.
Lindstrom,
Aye.
Sterner,
Aye.
Vento,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Zurin,
Aye.
Chair Zelli.
Aye. Well, that motion is carried. So the Transportation Committee has reports on the consent agenda, which brings us next to the joint report of Environment and Community Development Committees, and back to Councilmember Lilligren.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and council members. The following two business items are comprehensive plans for communities connected to the regional wastewater system, and were all heard in community development and environment committees. For both communities, council staff found that the 2040 plans conform to regional systems plans, are consistent with council policies, and are compatible with the plans of adjacent and affected jurisdictions. The first is business item 2020-263. It's a 2040 comprehensive plan for the city of Laredo. Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council adopt the advisory comments and review record and take the following actions. Authorize the city of Laredo to place its 2040 comprehensive plan into effect, and advise the city when available to provide the council with the date the Watershed Commission approved the local water management plan and the date the city adopted the final local water management plan. Also to implement the advisory comments in the review record for forecast, land use, and water supply. And the chair from the recommendation rather from the Environment Committee, first to approve the City of Loretta's comprehensive sewer plan. Also strongly encourage the city to develop and implement a one-to-one mitigation plan to reduce the future risk of work plan assignments by the council when the use of the storage ponds is no longer available for peak flow attenuation. And lastly, to advise the city to revise its city code to require the disconnection of existing non-compliant clear water connection sources once they are identified.
Okay, great. Is there a second?
Second by Barber.
Thank you, Deb. Any discussion? Not. Liz, call the roll.
Atlas Ingebretson,
Aye.
Barber,
Aye.
Chambliss,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Fredson,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren,
Aye.
Lindstrom,
Aye.
Sterner,
Aye.
Vento,
Aye.
Wolf,
Aye.
Zurin,
Aye.
and Chair Zelli.
Aye. That motion carried. And now one more, I believe, Councilmember Lilligren.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. The next business item is 2020-264. It's to authorize a 2040 comprehensive plan for the city of St. Paul and approve their comprehensive sewer plan. Mr. Chair, I move that the Metropolitan Council adopt the attached advisory comments and review record and take the following actions. First, to authorize the city of St. Paul to place its 2040 comprehensive plan into effect. Second, revise the sewer service forecast for the cities to show that the entire population and household forecast will be sewer serviced in 2030 and 2040, as shown on Table 2 of the review record. Also, to prior to final adoption, advise the city to implement the advisory comments as detailed in the business items as A through E. Also, to advise the city to submit to the council, once completed, a copy of revised Chapter 50 of the St. Paul Legislative Code regarding standards and specifications for SSTS, accompanied by a copy of the resolution adopted by the new rule. And within 60 days after receiving DNR final approval, the city must adopt the Mississippi River Critical Corridor Plan and submit a copy of the final adopted plan and evidence of adoption to the DNR, the Council, and the National Park Service within 10 days after the adoption, and implement the advisory comments in the review record regarding employment and household forecasts during future comprehensive plan amendments. The recommendation from the Environment Committee is to approve the City of St. Paul's Comprehensive Sewer Plan, and prior to final plan adoption, advise the city to implement the advisory comments in the review record to correct the summary of Chapter 41 of the city's legislative code that pertains to the separation of stormwater and sanitary sewer systems. Also include a copy of Chapter 41 in its final submitted version to the council. And finally, require the city to submit GIS data sets related to the local wastewater system when it becomes available.
Great. Is there a second?
Second by Councilmember Fredson.
Thank you, Councilmember Fedson. Any questions? Discussion? All right, Liz.
Atlas Ingebretson,
Aye.
Barber,
Aye.
Chambliss,
Aye.
Cummings,
Aye.
Ferguson,
Aye.
Fredson,
Aye.
Gonzalez,
Aye.
Lee,
Aye.
Lilligren,
Aye.
Lindstrom,
Aye.
Sterner,
Aye.
Vento,
Aye.
Aye.
Wolf, Wolf,
Aye.
thank you. Zurin,
Aye.
Chair Zelli.
Aye. That motion carries. Well, thanks everyone for a series of important and timely business items. We have one final information report. It's really what's on a lot of our minds. Judge Shetton's going to take us through kind of the election, where we are so far, maybe some of the implications from our council. And although I know he hasn't slept a lot, maybe he had a nap this afternoon. I really appreciate your coming in, Judd, and giving us a little update. So, Judd?
Great. Well, thanks, Mr. Chair and everyone. It looks like I got some weird lighting here. I'm not sure why that is happening, but I haven't turned into a ghost. I know that, but I did get very little sleep last night, like a number of folks, I'm sure. And I have a very short presentation. I mean, this is the most general presentation I've probably ever given in my life. So much of it is that way because we just don't necessarily have 100% clarity on even some of these state races. But Greg, we can go to the next slide. So as everybody knows, the all House and Senate seats were on the ballot in addition to the presidential U.S. House and Senate races. And I mean, the House and Senate seats in Minnesota. So all 201 of those seats were open. And going into Election Day, the state legislature was divided into a DFL-controlled House and Republican-controlled Senate. And what we found after last night is that, and over the course of all the early voting, is that we are looking at about 78% voter turnout, which is fantastic. I mean, actually unbelievable amount of votes. So that's great. Greg, we can go to the next one. And so, as I mentioned just a second ago, some of the outcomes are still unclear as of Wednesday, but currently, it looks like the Senate will remain Republican controlled and the House will have a slim DFL majority. But honestly, a number of those votes are still being counted, and many of the races haven't been called. So I'm not listing a group of the winners and losers yet because some of them have not been completely announced yet. But it looks like the Senate Republicans will retain a 2-seat majority in the Senate, and that the House DFL will hold a 2-seat majority in the House. But again, numbers are changing here even this afternoon. Just recently, some numbers out of southern Minnesota came in and have an effect on that House DFL majority as well. But you want to go to the next slide, Greg? And so I'll cover some of these races here in a minute, but just regarding what is what we're going to be dealing with next session is with the divided legislature, we will be working on a very projected substantial budget deficit for fiscal years 22 and 23, but we also have to solve the budget deficit for fiscal year 21, which we are in today. We are also going to be dealing with the COVID-19 response that the state will likely take up, and then redistricting of the Met Council and the legislative seats will be on the table as well. So what I will do here is just run through a few of the races that I think that we know, and particularly in the metro area, we had Lindsay Port defeated Dan Hall in down here in the South Metro in the Burnsville Savage area. Dan was the incumbent. Dan was also the chair of the local government committee in the Senate, so we spent a lot of time with Dan, and he was also a member of the Transportation Finance Committee in the Senate. The Senate DFL also picked up an open seat where Senator Paul Anderson held that seat. He resigned or retired up in the Plymouth area, and that was picked up by that open seat was picked up by Ann Johnson Stewart. Down here in Lakeville, where I live, we had Senator Matt Little, who's also a member of the Senate Transportation Finance Committee. He was defeated by Zach Duckworth, and so Senator Little and Senator Hall kind of canceled each other out. And then we also had, oh man, what was my other one here? Oh, and then down in southern Minnesota in the Austin area, it looks like Senator Dan Sparks it may potentially be in trouble down there, but there are, I think, some votes left to be counted that may be coming out of the Austin area, which is likely to help him, but I don't know if it'll be enough to overcome the. I think he's down about 3,000 votes last I heard. And again, yes, I want to throw every caveat in here is that I don't know. I am. I work as the council's government affairs director. I'm definitely not a election, mind when it comes to figuring out how all this works. And then when you throw in all the absentee ballots, it makes things so different because they're all being counted different ways. And so that is definitely throwing a bit of a monkey wrench into all of this. But it does look like the Senate will remain Republican. There's also a race up in the St. Cloud area with Senator Jerry Ralph, who has a very slim lead in that race. But we will see where that shakes out. But right now, it looks like they may retain that Senate seat. In the House, it appears that the House DFL will concede 6 of their seats. We've got Representative Purcell up in the Bemidji area. Looks like he lost. We've got Representative Sandsted up in House District 6A up near the Hibbing area, who looks like she lost. Representative Jeff Brand in District 19A in southern Minnesota down by the St. Peter area. It appears that he may have lost his seat. Representative Gene Poppy down in the Austin area, similar area to Senator Sparks. Again, that is one of the races that we're not even sure if that has been completely called yet. But she looked like she was up, then it looked like she was down. But that is a race that may be too close to call right now. But I think she may be a little bit behind. We had Representative Claflin on the over in the East Metro. It looks like she may have lost her seat, and then a significant, I would say, loss in the Scott County area is Representative Brad Tapke, and Representative Brad Tapke, at least as far as the council is concerned, Representative Tapke was the vice chair of the Transportation Committee, House Transportation Finance Committee in the House of Representatives, but Representative Tapke was also our author of the administrative citations policy and initiative that we were bringing forward with the legislature, and I think we intend to do that again next year. So it looks like Representative Tapke lost that race as well. But a couple other races I will point out that I think are of the council's interest are county races. In Carver County, it looks like longstanding County Commissioner Randy Malunchnik lost his seat. In Dakota County, we had the mayor of Apple Valley, Mary Heyman Rowland, defeat Chris Gerlach, former House member, former senator. This morning, when I saw it, it looked like Commissioner Gerlach had won that race, and then now it looks like there must have been a bunch of absentee ballots that came in, and Mayor Mary Heyman Rowland has won that. Former state rep Lori Halverson won the open seat for Commissioner Tom Egan in Hennepin County. In the Mike Opat open seat, looks like Brooklyn Park Mayor Jeff Lundy won that seat. In the open seat for Jan Callison, Chris Latown Dress won that race. He was running against former legislator Dario Anselmo. And then in the Jeff Johnson seat, Kevin Anderson defeated Danny Nadeau in that race. Just a couple more here. Let's see here. The other thing is that if you haven't heard, it looks like they have announced Vice President Biden has won both Wisconsin and Michigan. That came out here within the last half an hour. But as far as the state races here, that looks like where we are at. And again, I would like to throw the huge caveat out there that this is part of this is speculation, and please don't quote me on any of these numbers. But with that, we will get a summary from the Minnesota House and the Minnesota Senate that will outline those races as well. One other thing I'd like to point out is it looks like Congresswoman Angie Craig is going to win down here in the 2nd Congressional District, and that race was too close to call last night, but it appears that there were a number of absentee ballots that came in late. And then we have Congresswoman Ilhan Omar won. Congressman Dean Phillips retained his seat. Congresswoman Betty McCollum won her seat, and Congressman Tom Emmer held on to his seat. So for those races in the metropolitan area, that's kind of where everything shook out. And then obviously people have heard that that Senator Tina Smith defeated her challenger Jason Lewis in that race, which could have been interesting for the council because Mr. Lewis has spent some time looking at the council in the past and our role as the Metropolitan Planning Organization. But with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions. But we will see. We will have obviously a new legislature that we're working with a slimmer margin in the House. But as usual, we will work with the legislature and build relationships with them and come forward with our what we see as a vision, and work very hard with the Walz administration and with the House and Senate, and try to build bridges and work together and do our best for the Met Council and the metro area. So with that, I know that there are political experts on the council that have much more knowledge in these areas than I do as far as elections. So if anybody wants to correct what I said or add anything, you will not hurt my feelings one bit. So with that, I will go on mute and take any questions or listen to any other comments.
Any questions or thoughts for Judd? Or for any of us? Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Chair. Not so much election related, but I mentioned this at the last council meeting and just wanted to say directly to Judd on behalf of the council, the whole Brooke, the whole team. Thank you for your work on the capital investment jobs bonding bill. I think results that just underscores the importance of us getting that bonding bill over the finish line, and took 18 months in force. But just very grateful for all of your work. So thank you.
Well, I will jump in and say I appreciate those comments. It was certainly a group effort, and we have a number of legislators to thank. Obviously, Governor Walz was extremely supportive by including the $55 million in his bonding recommendations for both the B and the D line. And I do feel fortunate that we were able to carry those across the finish line. It only took 5 special sessions to do that, which you know was made for quite a summer. But I think it was worth the wait. And thank you. I just wanted to say thanks to Councilmember Fredson for his call as well. And I think that we definitely have things to celebrate with the investments of those lines. And you know, I know that the goal is to build on that momentum.
Any other anything that anybody wants to share?
You know, Mr. Chair?
Yes, Councilmember Lilligren.
Yeah, thanks. I just want to echo the thanks to Judd, of course. And also, I just wanted to note the high water mark in Minneapolis. Minneapolis set a new voter turnout record, 237,689 ballots cast. And the selection, of course, some more may be coming in. More than 170,000 of them were absentee ballots. So this is 80.6 registered voters turnout, and that is really a high water mark in Minneapolis. So I just wanted to note that for everyone. Thanks.
Thank you. And Linnea.
Thanks, Chair. I just wanted to say thanks to Judd. I appreciate it. And it's a really tricky update to give this year, particularly more so maybe than other years, but I really appreciate the time that you took to put this together for us in short order. And it is a moving target. And so just really wanted to say thank you for your support throughout the year. And I really appreciate this opportunity to get this input from you. So thanks for doing that for us in 4 hours. Have you slept at all?
You know, I went to bed about 3 o'clock this morning, and I was up probably about 7, and just was kind of really woke up maybe around 8:30. But it was a long night. But one thing I want to add is when we were talking about the bonding bills and the investment in these transitways, we receive a lot of support from folks at Metro Transit, Leslie Canderas, Wes, Charles Carlson. I mean, these folks are Charles. I'm bugging him all the time, texting him, saying, I need to know this information. And I know every time I text him, he says, you asked me the same question last week. And so I do know that, but but there are a lot of hands that go into this, at least even on the backside of this. And so it's nice to be able to hear these words of appreciation, but they go well beyond me and much deeper into the agency. So I just want to make sure that folks over at Metro Transit and Brooke Bordson as well are all getting their light shined on them a little bit, because it is definitely some teamwork that goes into the delivery of these. So thanks again to everybody for your comments. So it it's a really nice thing to celebrate between getting our full funding grant agreement for Southwest, and then right on the heels of that, delivering these 2 lines. I know things are often, everybody just feels a little bit strange in what's going on with these times, and we've had a couple really big victories here lately, and so let's not lose sight of that.
And as I think somebody mentioned, we have some momentum to go into a budget year.
Yep.
So keep the band together here. 'Cause
I have nothing else. So, but it's great to see everyone.
any other reports from anybody on any subject?
Chair, if I may.
Yes, please.
Well, I think I have plans to travel to Europe permanently, but I'm shelving those for now.
I think that's a wise strategy there, Francisco. Wait and see.
Wait and see. Yep.
I did like Senator Franken's Senator Franken's tweet this morning, which says, "What do we need now? Patience. When do we need it? Now. Patience. Now." So, Anne, do you have something for us?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair, council members. Just a reminder, you may be served with a lawsuit at some point, and with the pandemic the way it is, if we get sued, people very well might seek you out personally. Just a reminder, if you do get served with a lawsuit, email me right away, call me right away. We'll get a messenger out there, or I'll come pick it up myself, because there's often pretty strict deadlines. So it's really important that we get that as soon as possible. So just a friendly reminder on that. Thank you.
Thank you, Anne. She says that I was served sometime in the past few weeks, and my son said, "There's this nice person at the front door." Well, it was very nice, but I was served a lawsuit. So we do have to kind of not toss them aside, get them to our staff right away. It's part of our roles. Mary, do you have anything?
No, Mr. Chair, all good.
Okay, well, I think some folks can take some needed rest and enjoy the warm weather. And I know we're not going to see each other for now a couple of weeks, but in a couple of weeks we'll have another special council meeting, and we'll look forward to seeing you all then, if not before. This meeting's adjourned. Have a good evening.
Thank you.